start streaming, right? And we go over here. We go to live. We go over here. It's just just a wild thing to say. It's so funny. Oh my god. Oh my god. Are we live?
I think so.
Oh yeah, we are.
I think so.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
We are live. Okay, and now I just want you to say, yes, we're starting early. And Michael, I just want you to say literally exactly what you just said. I want you to say it exactly the same way.
Do I have permission to just be eating a shrimp cocktail?
Just something, I don't know what I was expecting you to say, but just the phrase "munching on a shrimp cocktail."
Munching on a shrimp cocktail. That's what it
is not the sentence I thought that I was gonna get today.
As we're preparing to go live, like Tom's like fully ready, doing last second checks. I'm like, wait, quick. Do I have permission to be munching on this shrimp cocktail?
So, like, I'm gonna give a little peek behind the curtain here, okay? And while I'm doing that, people are gonna come in. Ruguru, hello. The Starkfist, hello. Spartan Cypher, hello. Welcome to the party. Before we ever start streaming, we do like opening bits right before we start recording. We do opening stuff because I'm like recalibrating my brain from horrible work mode where I really do detest most of the things that I'm doing most of the time to this, which is the best thing that I do. And I have to find the funny. And sometimes it takes a few minutes. And sometimes you get the phrase "munching on a shrimp cocktail," and that's just a hell of a sentence. Oh my god! Welcome to the party, Michael.
Oh, good to be here.
Zach is out today. Zach has some personal business to attend to. He wishes you all well. He wants me to tell you that it's not your fault. It's not your fault that he's not here, even though you've been being mean in the comments. It isn't your fault. Michael, I wanted to shout out a comment actually here early in the video. Is that something you're okay with?
Yeah.
I would really like to give a shout out to the person who keeps on commenting under our videos. This format is terrible. You guys should find a new format. but keeps on watching the videos anyway. So we're gonna do a little experiment. First off, you can like this stream if you want to. Second off, just go into the comments and say "I can still comment," and you'll find that you're different than that person.
Yeah.
You can just comment "I can still comment," because like the first time it's funny, but when you get to number 5, I'm just like, you should probably watch something else.
Yeah, there are like one or two things where it's like, oh, if this is your take, like my content is not for you. I've got like one or two little issues where I'm just like, oh, no warning, your comments don't show up anymore.
Exactly. Yup, just gone. And like I really do love this weird little community we've built in this corner of the internet. It is almost 100% wonderful. It is overwhelmingly positive most of the time. And that makes me so happy. And it really makes the person who's just trolling really stand out.
Yeah.
Because if I saw that person if I met that person in person, my response would be, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that you didn't like it, but I make it for me mostly. But I hope that you find something else positive that you like in the world." But if I said that to a person over the internet, I don't think it would go over great.
No, it doesn't translate quite as well.
No, it doesn't track
in
perfect.
much the same way that most of the unhinged comments you get, you wouldn't get in person. Like, they wouldn't start the conversation in the first place. So it's just like,
Now see that this is an interesting argument that I'm not 100% confident that I agree with.
yeah, okay. That's fair. I feel like most people who are unhinged on the internet aren't as unhinged in real life. They pretend to be less unhinged.
Oh my god. Like this is something that I definitely think someone would just say to me. Oh my god, do I need to literarily analyze all of George Martin's real life blogs and quotes too? And unfortunately, yeah, you do.
I mean, if you want the most informed opinion, yeah.
You picked the wrong fandom. Michael, how are you today?
I've been doing good. Doing good. Yeah. Got some shrimp, got some Kool-Aid jammers for later if I need to. I've got this old-timey cowboy microphone that doesn't do anything, but it is here in case I need to, pretend to be a radio host.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, I love that microphone. Yeah. Well, can you give me like your best like baseball announcer voice?
Yeah, so up to bat, of course, we have Biscuits the horse, and Biscuits back here is 0 for 3 on the day, mostly due to the fact that Biscuits doesn't, in fact, have thumbs to grip the bat with, which has made it quite easy for the opposing pitchers, as long as they can find the horse-sized strike zone, to retire this batter quite handily. Let's see if this fourth at bat is any different.
Absolutely correct. Remind me how he got that nickname.
Biscuits the horse, actually, it's mostly because he learned to play baseball by stealing biscuit dough from the farm at which he lived, rolling it up into little balls and smacking it with a stick. And when they caught him doing that several times, they said, "Hey, we should put that horse in Major League Baseball." And fortunately for them, the Chicago White Sox said, we want that gimmick. There's going to be a meeting. The commissioner may ban gimmicks much in the same way they banned little people from baseball. They might ban horses next year. There's going to be discussions.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they banned little people from baseball because as a gimmick, someone sent a little person up and his strike zone was so small that he kept getting walked. And they said, you can't do that anymore.
That's such bullshit.
No, I know. Old baseball history is the most unhinged shenanigans you could imagine. It's so funny.
That's such bullshit. It's not bullshit it's bullshit that they banned it.
Yeah. I think it was the White Sox. I might be wrong on that one, but there was an owner who was just like, yeah, I don't care. I will do hilarious things all the time. I'm gonna send a little guy up to bat. And don't swing the bat, guy. And he didn't. He never swung. Like he just kept getting on base.
I want you to imagine if they banned people over 7 foot in basketball.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm better at the game. Yeah. Like my stature makes me better at the game, like mathematically.
Yeah.
If any rando can break your game, it's not their fault. It's your fault.
Right.
Yeah, you made a bad game.
Yeah. And with the AI strike zones, like, I feel like we could reallow little people into baseball because it won't be hard on the umpires. I mean, modern day pitching should be accurate enough. AI strike zones ought to be able to, like, figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my fault you have a bad pitcher.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Your pitcher sucks. That's not on me.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party, everybody.
We're here to talk about sports, right? Surely.
This is what the stream is. If you're here for something other than unhinged rambling, I don't know why you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, there's a button right underneath the thing. Did I hear correctly that YouTube rolled out something that like there's feedback that happens when you say like, comment, and subscribe now?
Is there? I don't know about that.
That like in a video, if you say subscribe to this video, the subscribe button will like glow.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's either something I heard or something I made up.
If that's true, we should make an interesting Nerd Network video where we try to send Morse code signals with the likes and subscribe buttons by repeating those phrases at short and long intervals.
Wait a minute, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hang on.
I don't know Morse code, so that's your project.
Hang on, we're doing this bit. Hang on.
Okay.
Is it this one? Okay. All right. So how many bits can we realistically fit? Let's say we're doing this as a coded message. We want to avoid detection, right?
Okay.
So let's say we have a 60-minute video. Welcome to the stream, everybody. We have a 60-minute video. How many times can you say like, comment, and subscribe in a video before it becomes like extremely notable? It's not once a minute. It's definitely less than once a minute.
See, yeah, I was picturing like the entire video is you saying subscribe just over and over as an experiment. But yeah, no, like if we did it in an actual video, that would be better.
Oh, your video, you've already pitched the thumbnail. This is the thumbnail. The title of the video is I tell you to subscribe to this video in Morse code. and the message that we like tap out is like, comment, and subscribe.
Well, the message that we tap out has to be something complicated so that people have to watch the entire video trying to decode the button lighting up. So we'll get a ton of watch time because they have to watch the whole thing to get the coded message.
Absolutely. It should be, and they have to like rewatch parts to take notes.
It's got to be something that halfway through they think it's going to spell be sure to drink your Ovaltine, but then it spells something else.
It spells be sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. See, I was thinking of it in like a spy thriller kind of way, where like in a regular video, I'm trying to get a message out. Like if it was a horror movie, the message would say, send help or something like that. Right. It would say, like I'm being held against my will, something like that. But I legitimately don't know if we can do that without it being like obviously noticeable.
You can here's the game.
Okay.
You can tell the audience whether or not you're buying the next theory Zach presents by saying yes or no in Morse code by randomly shouting like and subscribe while Zach is talking. Like when you decide you don't believe, you make a Morse code no by just shouting subscribe at the correct intervals and confuse Zach.
We make that a part of the bit. We say,
yeah,
all right, every time I buy a piece of evidence, I'm going to say like and subscribe.
It becomes code.
Yes. Okay. All right. Excellent. So I think with that in mind, we can get away with a like, comment, subscribe every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 30 times. 30 times total.
Yeah.
Is there a message that we can encode with only 30 bits?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how we would do it in Morse code.
Yeah.
Because
that would have to be you beatboxing the words like and subscribe like on the correct timing. I don't know how else you would do Morse code.
But like suppose so we have it 30 times. That gives us 8 bits. I'm sorry, that gives us 30 bits to work with. Every 2 minutes, I say like, comment, and subscribe, or I don't. And we can encode 30 bits worth of binary. With 30 bits worth of binary, can we make a message? Considering,
thank you for your patronage.
John and Satin are
Dylan
obviously
just
gay.
sent what the
Let's be
message
honest.
that we need to encode is.
yes, that's the message we need to encode, Dylan. It is going to be John and Satin are obviously gay. Let's be honest. So most
John plus Satin feels short enough. I don't know if it's short enough for 30 bits.
I don't think it is, because unless I'm misremembering my binary, every letter is 8 bits.
Okay.
So we
J
can
plus
encode.
S.
Oh, go ahead.
J plus S equals gay.
But okay, all right. But what if we up it to 120?
If we make a really long video.
No, we do it every 30 seconds.
Okay. Can you get more bits? Hold on. Can you get more bits of information in the code if you only say like and or subscribe, and you get which one you say matters?
Oh my god, can we manage to get hex code from the combination of like, comment, and subscribe that we say?
It's either like, subscribe, or like and subscribe, or comment. You could have like, comment, subscribe, or any combination of them.
Oh my god, that has 8 permutations, doesn't it? Is like, comment, subscribe, like, subscribe, comment, like,
it should be,
comment, like, subscribe, like. Wait, no, I've broken my brain. With 3, I think.
Ross points out that a soundboard would make this easier. Actually,
that's true. That is true, but I don't know. That doesn't seem. It seems like cheating. You know what I mean?
A little bit. Very much would be a tool assisted speed run.
Yes, this would be. This is tool assisted encoding.
Yeah. This is tool assisted stupidity.
April says no option. It has to be like, comment, and subscribe. And I think that is a reasonable argument.
Oh, also the fuck off option.
Oh my god. Create a black hole and you can get some serious compression going on. That's true. That's true. The noise compression becomes really, really good inside a black hole. Michael, it is now 9:00. For those of you just joining us, Zach is not here today. We are not dunking on him for this. We'll dunk on him for many other things, but today he had a personal issue that he had to deal with. He did want to be here. He wanted me to tell you that it's not your fault. Instead, we have Michael doing his best Zach impression. Michael, go ahead.
Hello, I am Zach, and I'm from the club. You should check out all of my CDs because they're really good. And also, I do other things that I will hint at enough for you to figure out what they are, but not directly say them on air.
Yes, as we've established in the past, Zach and I produce holidays. And man, Mother's Day is tough. You gotta start working on Mother's Day in February, man.
Otherwise, it just doesn't come.
Michael, do you want to talk about Game of Thrones?
I do. I actually I did study up on the video that we are in theory supposed to be talking about, and I have some takes. Ostensibly,
we are talking about the last theory that we did on the channel. Hang on, I will need to just adjust this here a little bit. Give me one of these, and we're just gonna go ahead and give this a bit of a shrink just to make sure that it all stays on screen.
It's weird to center myself on the actual YouTube live stream versus centering myself on what I can see on Discord. Because of how you've made the boxes, it's not the center of my box. It's okay though. I figured it out.
Look, if you need me to reorganize, I will reorganize.
No, if anyone in the audience sees me like adjusting, it's because what I'm looking at on Discord, and then I look at the live stream and I'm not positioned where I think I should be.
All right.
It's good. I'm good now. I figured it out.
I love this stupid fucking thing we do. This was one of the most fun videos that Zach and I have done in a long time because we did actual literary analysis and we came up with interesting new ways to talk about it. Which I had a ton of fun doing, and I think was reasonably effective. So the last video we spent the whole time talking about the Ghost of Highheart, and before we dive in and talk about some of your interpretations, are you okay if I read some comments?
Yeah, go recap, do whatever you got to do for sure.
Right. So we go down, we go comments, we go down. Oh my God, we have I can't believe people watch this channel, Michael.
I have a similar feeling about my own. I'm like, oh, I've been doing like a 2-year-long book report at this point, and people keep tuning in.
We got some extremely cool responses to like different takes on different theories that we presented here, and I would love to talk about a couple of them. Michael, do you have a preference on which one we start on?
No, go for it. Whichever one.
How do you feel about Owen Wilson jokes before I dig too deep into these?
I'm in favor of them.
Okay. All right. Here's one that I want to talk about. All right. This one up here. This is one of the most hotly debated things in the fandom. This is later I dreamt of that same maid again, slaying a savage giant in a castle made of snow. Michael, talk to me about this.
So that to me says that Sansa is going to out-scheme Littlefinger and he will die at Winterfell in circumstances that, much like most of the late seasons of the show, will be better than the late seasons of the show, probably. But that's what I get from that.
I think I agree. We did get a lot of comments, actually, like a lot of comments saying we missed something in our discussion of this. That we talk about the same maid, Sansa, being literal, and the giant being metaphorical, and the castle made of snow being metaphorical. And we discussed the possibility of this being like a castle made of snow evokes the idea of like a house of cards, right? A building with a shaky foundation, that sort of deal.
Yeah.
We talk about how a lot of people on the internet think that the savage giant is the mountain, which is stupid.
I don't think Sansa's gonna kill him.
But
that's Arya's job.
Yes, like Arya, the mountain is not on Sansa's list.
Yeah.
If the Hound has to deal with the mountain, Cersei has to deal with the mountain, and Arya has to deal with the mountain, Sansa is tangentially connected to him at best.
Yes.
But a lot of people said, I'm surprised that you didn't mention the literal giant kicking over a literal snow castle in what was it? Feast, when Sansa and Robin are playing in the Godswood in the Eerie.
She kills Robin.
Well,
is that
no? Go ahead, please.
Well, because is he the savage giant who's kicking over her snow castle? Is that?
Yeah.
Isn't that what happens? Yeah.
Yes. And people are saying that this has already been fulfilled. That her like pushing over.
That's interesting.
Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that's interesting.
Yeah.
And the problem is that is such a lackluster explanation for
It's an inconsequential moment. Why did the Weirwood show her that?
That affects nobody when the rest of these are like political upheaval or apocalyptic disaster,
right?
But this is an 8-year-old kicking over the sandcastle of a 14-year-old.
Unhinged take.
Okay, I'm ready.
George's original plan was that Sansa dies doing the Lyanna Mormont from the show, where she gets picked up by a giant and stabs him to death as she dies.
Oh,
not what's going. I don't think that's what it is, but like maybe George had the idea that Sansa was gonna kill a giant in the Battle of Winterfell.
That is extremely interesting. And I don't want to sound like I'm dunking on any of the people who believe in this. I believe in dumb shit in this fandom too, but that doesn't seem to track for me.
No. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the coolest things that we talked about in this past video is this one up here. I dreamt of a wolf howling in the rain and no one heard his grief. This is followed immediately by I dreamt such a clangor that I thought my head might burst. Drums and horns and pipes and screams, but the saddest sound was the little bells. Thoughts on both of these?
I agree. The wolf in the rain, probably Rickon. His whole I reread Bran's chapters recently, and his whole thing is he's sad all the time, and nobody really has time to deal with it because Bran is being paralyzed and becoming a raven. Robb has to go off to war. Cat has to go off, to deal with everything. So yeah, just the Rickon's whole thing is like he's crying all the time and he wants his family and he knows that he's not going to get to see them again. And the fact that she brings this up back to back with the Red Wedding, I kind of think is just the fact that Rickon knows psychically all of the bad things that are happening to his family and sometimes even seems to know it beforehand. Like, there's a time where Bran's like, don't worry, he's going to come back. And Rickon's like, no, he won't. He's not coming back. They never come back. And he's talking about, like, Robb and Kat and Ned at that point. And it's like, oh, yep, he's correct, actually.
Wait, that's actually a very cool take.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? This is from Peter. If you took the wolf literally and the rain metaphorically, it could be Ghost and no one can hear his grief because he's mute, and the rain could be the wall melting.
That's interesting. So when is this? Because, I mean, the thing I would say is that Ghost and Jon aren't seemingly grieving on the same level, but I did recently also read the Craster's Keep thing with Jon, and like when they go north of the wall on the ranging, it is pouring rain. They talk about how like the wall is melting and mixing with the rainwater and is just coming down in sheets.
Yeah. And
they say that like the haunted forest is like the drowned forest or something like that. Like it's just soaking wet. So if that's at the same time, maybe that's Ghost.
I think the idea is that this is after Jon is resurrected and is living in Ghost. That if there's a period of time where Jon is not like in his body but is in Ghost while the wall is falling,
that could work. Yeah, actually. If it's just
I love this video. I love what we're doing here because there's like actual cool stuff to talk about.
Right.
We're not just memeing around today.
Right.
What do you think of this? Rain could also be the rain of arrows as a common, which is a common metaphor that links to the Bad Dragon show and Rickon's death. But then Peter goes on to say that doesn't quite add up for me, and I don't necessarily expect the scenes to be the same, but it is an interesting parallel.
I had a terrible realization about Rickon getting shot by the fourth arrow by Ramsay Bolton when I was rereading the Bran chapters. That for the first time, I'm like, oh, maybe that's exactly what George told them to do with Rickon. Because there's a scene where Lewin pulls out a bunch of dragon glass arrowheads in book 1. And Rickon, upon seeing the arrowhead, says, I want them. Or he says, I want one. No, I want 4 because I'm 4.
Oh my god, he does say that, doesn't he?
Rickon gets 4 dragon glass arrowheads. And I went and watched that scene. I'm like, if Ramsay shoots him with the 4th arrow, I'm gonna feel some very foreshadowy feelings in my brain right now. And then I watched it, and sure enough, it is the 4th arrow from Ramsay.
Wait a minute.
That kills Rickon.
Okay, so this would be the wolf howling in grief is Jon. The rain is arrows. And no one hears him because of the sounds of the battle.
Could be, yeah.
Wait, that actually tracks for me really well, and I think that's extremely cool.
Yeah, I don't know if I am fully sold that George is foreshadowing Rickon's death, but if he's not, it is certainly weird that Rickon is like making very much note of wanting 4 arrowheads. Like, that's so weird. And it could just be that, like, when you watch that scene, things go in patterns. You think he's going to hit him on the 3rd arrow, and when he doesn't, you really think Rickon's going to make it to Jon until the 4th arrow comes. But also, Rickon asked for 4 arrowheads in freaking book 1 when George was doing a lot of foreshadowing.
All right, that's that. So one of the problems with that scene is it's really good. That's a notable issue.
It's what? Sorry?
It's very good. That is a notable issue with that scene. And I find that distressing given all of the other things in that season.
Yes.
However, I realistically, can George get that granular when talking about a character death? This is a genuine question. Hang on, I'm bringing us back here.
What George has said is that he has had like destinations in mind for many of the characters from the beginning. So like the destination of being shot by a bunch of arrows and the 4th one hitting him could just be the endpoint that George had in mind for Rickon's Shaggy Dog story. If he knew that that would be an important moment in the character arc of like the rest of the Starks, right? Like Rickon's death will probably serve some purpose that George has in mind. And he could have had it in mind that Rickon's going to get shot at by arrows in that way from the very beginning. That's the only, like, is he going to get that detailed on the entire journey there? No, but I do think he has the endpoints that he could foreshadow that heavily.
That's a good theory. And a hell of a thumbnail.
Yeah. Yeah.
That thumbnail is the death of Rickon Stark. That's a good thumbnail.
Yeah, we could do a Y episode and see if we can like find other evidence. Because I did, as I said, I have a video that I'm tempted to not even bring up because I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish and edit it, but it's what happens when I read every Bran chapter. And I was planning on just talking about all 21 Bran chapters in order in one giant long video. And I've recorded roughly a third of it over the winter, and maybe we'll finish it one day.
Huh.
But yeah, I've noticed a lot of things about Bran, and that was one of them.
I'm just about finished with my reread of Storm. Almost done.
Okay.
And I, too, have been getting weird vibes off Bran chapters.
Yeah, I reread Bran, and I'm doing a reread of Jon as well. And yeah, noticing lots of weird things. I've never done like just the full character rereads in order that way before, so that's what I'm doing at this point. And yeah, I noticed a lot of weird stuff.
All right, I'm gonna pitch to the chat right now. throw evidence for the death of Rickon Stark into the chat.
Yeah.
And Michael, if you're up for it, the next time we record, you and I will present that to Zach as long as everybody promises not to tell him. Everybody promise you gotta all promise not to tell him.
We ban Zach from watching the stream.
Yeah, nobody
until
tells
we
Zach.
record.
Okay. What do you think of this one? Let's talk about this over here. I think that this is one of the I'm sorry, Zara is texting me about Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
I can't see it on the screen, and I don't know if this chat can either.
No, it's just like I'm just bad at my job. There it is. I'm just
okay,
gonna,
this is the one.
I'm just gonna read
go
this.
for it. This is the one I want to talk about.
Okay, I want to read this.
Yeah.
I see you. I see you, wolf child, blood child. I thought it was the Lord who smelled of death. You are cruel to come to my hill. I gorged on grief at Summer Hall. I need none of yours. Begone from here, dark heart. Begone.
Yeah.
What is this fucking YA fantasy bullshit?
That's the one that always messed with me as well. Like, I never quite figured out what the heck that was, but I do now kind of think I have an answer I like better than other things.
Okay.
So recently on my channel, I've been going over all the reasons I'm really now pretty convinced that the others are Weirwood shadow babies or Green Seer shadow babies on some level.
So by shadow bit, you mean like Melisandre's shadow?
Like, yeah, like
okay.
You have a shadow binder, an icy shadow binder sleeps with a Green Seer whose life force is permanently sustained by the Weirwoods and therefore can cast a permanent icy shadow. And yeah. And so, in that context, one of the things that you might need to do to make a bunch of the others disappear in the way that Arya stabs the Night King in the show is stab one of these Green Seers and give them the gift of death. So I think one of the things, like this big dark thing that Arya might have to do, like you were talking about her doing some really important magical thing, I think it might be killing some of, if not like just the singular main Green Seer that's like in charge of this Weirwood system, potentially like Bran the Builder down in the crypts there, potentially whatever, somewhere else, but I think most likely down in the crypts of Winterfell. So if the ghost of Highheart, who is getting all of these visions from the Weirwood for her whole life, knows that Arya is eventually going to be the one who kills the source of her magical power, her visions, and will basically end the old way of the world that she's so nostalgic for, all of that's about to go away, and she is now staring down the face of the person who's literally going to deliver that stabbing blow to her entire, like, old Weirwood magical way of life that, that she misses at this point. Because you talked about, too, her being super old, and, like, I think she's a child of the forest, so, like, her being super nostalgic about the old Weirwood, like, lifestyle, and thinking that this person who's going to kill the Green Seer and help oversee the end of this way, I think is the big dark thing.
Huh. So your pitch, and this fits in very nicely. Ready? Big fat quotes here. Very nicely with the end of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Where where she is the one to end whatever cycle exists.
Yes, she is set up to deliver the gift of death to the source of the others, orchestrated in large part by other characters, probably like Bran and Jon, bringing about the situation where that's even possible. But Arya is the one who's learning all men must die, if the source of the others is these immortal bodies that are essentially magically sustained to life. I think Arya is the one who's going to learn how to kill even these magically sustained bodies. Like if someone's linked to a glass candle or a weirwood, those would be the people, the faceless men are probably the most determined to like learn how to kill, because they're the only people who are going to be immortal anyway, right? Like if their thing is all men must die, everyone else is going to die naturally. So like the only ones they really need to like figure out how to kill are people who are tied to glass candles or weirwoods. And I think Arya is going to learn that before she leaves. And then she's going to have to kill these ancient Starks, who are probably like green seared to the roots and still affecting and manipulating everything, probably the source of the others. And that's how she ends or helps end this whole thing. That's her part in it.
You are seeing Arya delivering mortality to the green-seared Starks under Winterfell. Which, by the way, is a very cool take that I don't know that I've talked about explicitly before. I think that's very cool. That's number one. But I think more explicitly, we could pitch that Arya like bombs the heart of winter. Arya finds whoever is at the center of the heart of winter.
I think the heart of winter might be the heart tree of Winterfell, Tom. There might be the bodies and the roots there, the center of the big magical wintry system. It's either the heart. So I have three options for what the heart of winter could be. It's either the heart tree at Winterfell, big central heart tree of the Black Gate, or a big magical heart tree somewhere north of the Wall.
My instinct is go ahead. Sorry.
Well, and it's like there's definitely hints that it's north of the Wall, but in many ways it wouldn't be much cleaner and a fine twist, I think, for it to be the heart tree at the center of Winterfell. And George has said, I think even in the leaked like pitch document, that there will be a climactic final battle at Winterfell. So like it could be the case that they have to go far north of the Wall and do something and then come back and have the final climactic battle at Winterfell. But I think Heart of Winter and Heart Tree at Winterfell, if the bodies that are strapped to that Heart Tree are like the magical center of power for this system, I think that tracks as the Heart of Winter to me, metaphorically. But it could definitely be elsewhere.
The incredibly named Urethra Franklin says you don't think it's Bloodraven's Great Rearwood?
That's the other question, right? So I was going to say, if it is north of the Wall, I'm wondering if it is not Bloodraven's cave that he's currently in. But the question is then, are those bodies that he saw inside Hodor the source of the others? Are like you know, what is it? I mean, because it would make sense if that is the Heart of Winter that Bran on some level needs to like fix or whatever before this is over. It would make sense that that's where Bloodraven would bring him. So yeah, I have thought about that, and I'm not sold on like one specific location for the Heart of Winter, but I have pitched basically those three that I said. And if it is north of the Wall, Bloodraven's cave is like 50-50, right? It's either Bloodraven's cave or it's a more frozen thing that is exactly like Bloodraven's cave for the most part somewhere else. So why not just have it be the one that they're at?
One of my favorite videos we've ever done was like a mapping video where we looked at the map and we tried to analogize it to like real world geography. And if you imagine, hang on, we're going on a tangent here, folks. Everybody come with us. If we imagine that let's say it looks something like this, right? Yeah, something to this effect, right? It's like a foot. And then over here is Essos, and then it goes this way. Yes?
Yeah.
Am I getting this right? And then the wall's like up here, right?
Yeah.
We tried to analogize the continents to real world continents, and one of my favorite theories, which is not original, but is like a cool take that I champion, is that up here is that the globe as we understand it is upside down.
Yeah.
And that this is Antarctica.
The land bridge. Yeah.
No. That this is Antarctica up here.
Okay.
That there is
okay.
that there is a continent Westeros sized, just above Westeros, and
I do enjoy that thought.
I think that's so cool. And if you just flip North America, if you flip the Americas upside down, you imagine that this up here is like the tip of Chile, I think, all the way down there. That is like almost to Antarctica. And I think I think that this spreads out like fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. The big problem I have is if you have to go so far north, A, it's gonna take a lot of time, but with dragons they could get there and back, I guess. And B, it's just does it work better to add a new magically important location as opposed to making it a new twist on what we know about the Wall or Winterfell? If it were me, I like the twist on the Wall or Winterfell being shown in a completely different light. That feels so much more George R.R. Martin, and it feels like we're supposed to assume it's a magical place far north of the Wall, and that's the red herring. And Ross brought up the quote there, but you say what you were going to say if you want here, and then we'll look at that.
Wow, that's a wild quote Ross brought up. Which book is that from?
Not that one. Not that one. That is, wow. We were doing, before the recording, we were playing a game where we would try to pick out shapes, pick out pictures and shapes, and that is certainly a picture.
Yeah, you could just, that's a creative interpretation. Anyway, I think that's totally reasonable. I think it is definitely cleaner and quicker to just to have everyone think that there is something north of the Wall, think that there's something north of the Wall that will save them or that they need to know, but find either that Bran has saved that information for them or Sam has saved that big fuck off horn for them. I think that's totally fine. However, I do really love the idea of like a nightmare 4 chapters of fucking just Jon. I imagine it the way that I would write it, and I'm just some dumbass. I would write it like the House of the Undying.
I was just gonna say it would be the Northern House of the Undying, a shadow-filled, like weird ice temple where you're like, what are these immortal shadows in here? This is a crazy magic place that needs to be burned down. Like that is, I was literally gonna bring that up. If it does exist north of the Wall, it is the icy House of the Undying.
But like not just the temple itself, but the trek there. Things get fucking weirder and people go missing. And
that would be wild,
and like Jon, like he's been walking for 2 weeks in the snow and he just fucking sees his dad, right? He just sees Ned Jay chilling in the snow. Arya runs off on her own and Jon fully thinks that Arya is dead. But she shows back up at the Heart of Winter. And perhaps spies on Jon, and something happens to turn her against Jon. And then she takes the action that Jon is unable or unwilling to take because he's fucking tripping balls. Because
that would be wild,
because Euron spiked his wine.
That would be good.
Hell yeah. No, you're right. I don't want to dispute because you are correct. That is way less neat than just having it be at Winterfell. And I think if it's at Winterfell, that's totally fine. But it does sound fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, I won't be disappointed if we get a metal like icy House of the Undying in the far north for sure.
Yeah.
But the way that I think it could be a red herring is when you read the chapter, every sentence break, Bran is looking somewhere else. So like he's flying so high up in the air that he will look in one single glance, he's looking all the way to Ashai, and then he glances next at the wall in like one sentence. So like he can look all over the world just as quick as George changes a sentence.
Very
And so
reasonable.
he looks off in all these different directions. He looks south, he looks east, he looks west, I think even, and then he looks north. And what happens is through his looking further and further north, George separates everything he looks at by a comma. Until the last one, he then breaks the sentence and it says, then he looked into the heart of winter and cried out afraid, or something like that, right? So it's implied that he's looking further and further north, and the last thing he sees is he looks at the curtain of light at the end of the world and then beyond that curtain, and then it's a break. So he's so high in the air, he sees the auroras up in the sky. That's the curtain of light. Like he's looking at the auroras from like way up in space, kind of, or like space level. So he sees a curtain of light and then he looks beyond that. And then it pauses. It could have been a comma. He looks beyond that curtain into the heart of winter and then he cried out afraid. But George, for the first time in his looking north, does a period and then says he looked at the heart of winter. So that could just as easily be north of that curtain of light, or it could be him just glancing back at Winterfell or the wall and seeing like into it for the first time. And I think that could be the red herring from George, is that he implies in one way that it is north beyond that curtain, but his sentence break implies potentially Bran is just looking somewhere else now.
Yo, I want to combine these two theories.
Yeah.
Imagine Jon back at Winterfell. Down in the crypts. Down in the crypts, creepy shit happens.
Yeah.
Imagine Jon seeing Benjen. And Benjen says, come, Jon, follow me. I'll show you the way out. But Jon doesn't have the warnings that Dany got to not trust the people in the nightmare
if you
place.
don't take the first door on your right in the crypts of Winterfell, you get lost.
Yeah, well, like if you trust the things down there, right? If you do what they try to tell you to do, they're gonna eat you.
Right. Yeah, that could definitely be.
And he cuts zombie Benjen in half with Longclaw.
Yeah, I mean that definitely could be a thing. Like Jon tripping balls as he goes through the crypts would be awesome.
Oh hell yeah! Oh my god. From loose snooze. I would love to give a take on the Arya Darkheart stuff. I don't know if I'm convinced Arya is the blood child. Bran is the cannibal here. Bloodraven seems to have things set up so it'll be devastating if there's a war with the others, and has been encouraging / forcing Bran to break warging rules. A 2-time cannibal would surely smell of death, right? Not to mention all the things that he has to do as the head of the Weirwood Net. What do you think of the idea that the Ghost of High Heart is smelling Bran through Arya?
So I'm tempted to say that I don't find it likely, just because like I kind of think the source of her dreams is probably a green seer or the Weirwoods, like whether it's the Weirwood hive mind itself sending out random noise, or if it's directed from a Bloodraven, a future Bran, a Bran the Builder, someone who's still strapped to the Weirwoods from, whenever. So like it seems like whatever Bran is doing is at least in line with the current active Weirwood hive mind, right? It does track that Bran would be the child of death, but I don't know that... It's the same thing that kind of confuses me with Arya, though, because it's like, yeah, it tracks for Arya to be all of these things, but I don't know why the Ghost of Highheart cares so much. Like, it's weird the Ghost of Highheart's the one complaining if Bran is the one who she's complaining about, because he's doing all the Weirwood stuff, and she sleeps on a Weirwood stuff.
These are great points, actually. So I think that's a very interesting take, and I like the way you're thinking. But but I don't think that I agree with that comment. I do like it though.
Yeah, it's interesting, but
would you like a tangent, or would you like to continue on Game of Thrones?
I'm fine with whatever you want.
Let's go. Lord Abraxas says, I'm the complete opposite of Tom. I want to be married, but I don't want to get married because everyone I know in a room staring at me sounds like hell on earth. Did you hear my wedding tangent?
Well, I cut out. I couldn't hear you for the first half of that comment for some reason. I just couldn't hear anything.
All right, ready? Hear me out. I in the last video spent a long time talking about getting married. How I don't want to be married, but I do want to get married, and I described my perfect wedding, which is one where there's Nerf guns taped underneath all of the tables.
Okay.
And I tell everyone this during like a swaggering speech, like looking up and looking down, and I pull out like 2 Nerf blasters, and I push over the bridal table, and I like hide behind it. And I just light up every member of my extended family.
Nice.
So I am inclined to ask, if you could do a meme wedding, what would it be?
Ooh. Honestly, I haven't. That seems like I'd have to think about it. I don't know.
I love this idea, because it's a party that all of my uncles and cousins have to come to, and they don't get to complain about it. They're not allowed to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'd probably have to have a really stupid cowboy wedding, just like the dumbest possible, like everything.
Yeah, but the great part about it is no one's allowed to call it stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can't. They're not allowed to.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Michael, what do you think of the castle Snow is on the mountain on the way up to the Eerie? So if we could call this a castle made of snow.
Yeah. It's interesting. How far down does Sansa actually get? Like, you said it's one of the ones going up to the Eerie is Castle Snow?
Yeah, I believe it's stone, then snow, then sky.
Okay. I would say probably not. But if Littlefinger's arc ends very quickly into the Winds of Winter, maybe. But, like, aren't they pretty much down from the Eerie for the entire winter now? Like, they're leaving for the winter. How far do they actually get in the Sansa sample chapter? I can't remember even how far. Have they fully left?
They are 100% on the ground. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
they're going back up.
I'm pretty sure her last chapter, they get to the Gates of the Moon.
That's what I thought. I couldn't remember if it was the sample chapter or her end of the Winds of, or end of Feast.
Yeah.
But I thought she was on the ground already, which is why, like, there's a lot of theories that sort of involve the Eerie or locations up in the mountains that I kind of think all of them are probably unlikely, just because they seem unlikely to return to the Eerie by the end of the story to me.
Now,
unless it's on a dragon.
Yeah, I think I have to disagree with this, because the Eerie is maybe the single coolest plot device that has not been used yet in the story.
That's true. If Dany goes there with a dragon, she could hold out for a long time.
Yeah, something has to. It is the single most defensible castle in the Seven Kingdoms, and I have long theorized that is the best place to post up in a war with the White Walkers.
Probably. That would make sense that, like, Dany will get some use out of the Eerie, but I don't think Sansa's gonna be, like, chilling there too often.
Yeah, it's hard for me to create a situation where both she and Peter are back up there. At least not before A Dream of Spring. If we get to A Dream of Spring and the winter is over and we still have the war to deal with, right? Then we deal with like the political and personal ramifications. Then I could see that, but it's impossible to predict what the lay of the land will be at that point.
Yeah.
Now How about this one? Hear me out. I love a comment that starts with hear me out. Sansa pushes Baelish so he dies falling. We see her push Joffrey onto the spikes when she's shown Ned's head, but she knows she'd be killed. She then watches her aunt get pushed out of the moon door. It'd be neat if she finally does get to kill him by indulging in her intrusive thoughts and pushing him off of the Eerie.
It would be cool, but again, they left. That's
like now
same problem. There's so many cool Eerie theories that would be awesome.
Eerie theories,
but
Eerie theory. Okay, I have more, but I need to sort them just a hair. Riff for a second for me.
Okay. Which one of these should we riff about? I mean, I do, just since we're talking about the Ghost of High Heart, I have to just say, like, I kind of think of all the characters who are maybe a child of the forest, the Ghost of High Heart is the most child of the forest. Like, she was a little tiny wrinkled old woman way back when she came to court back in the day, and now she's still just like 20 years plus later. No, wait, even more than that, because Summerhall was when Rhaegar was born. Rhaegar grew up to be a 20-something-year-old dude and died. His children are now grown into adults by the standards of Westeros. And this old lady is still the exact same old lady. Like, the children of the forest can live for hundreds of years. They look like small women, is how they're described, basically. Like, so a child of the forest who's either like just particularly human looking or potentially wearing a glamour or doing any sort of manipulative magic to her appearance. It seems like that's just a thing that has to exist somewhere in the story, and I think the Ghost of High Heart is like the most slam dunk example of like, yeah, this is a child of the forest to me. So that explains why, like you said, she's so old and like she's 1,000 years, no one has kissed me. Like, she might be exaggerating, but I think she is the last of her kind. She has not seen another child of the forest in hundreds of years, or, you know, however long, decades at the very least, if not hundreds of years, because High Heart itself is literally said to be haunted by the ghosts of the children of the forest. It was one of their most sacred locations. So the Ghost of High Heart being a child of the forest just makes far too much sense. And so I think that's why she's so longing for all these old days that are 1,000 years gone by, because even by child of the forest standards, she's probably ancient, and all of her people have been dead for so long.
Yeah. Does she want to retire? Does she want to go and join the birds?
Here's the problem is that Arya, if the Weirwood system is destroyed by the end of this, Arya might be destroying that system in that afterlife along with it. Like, that's why she hates her. That's what I'm saying. Like, she doesn't want anything other than to be young again and her people to still be there, and she can't have that. And Arya's the Dark Heart who's going to end the whole system anyway, and she knows the end of the system is coming because the Weirwoods know the end of the system is coming. They can see the future. Bloodraven, who is strapped up to the Weirwood, is orchestrating it. The children of the forest talk about how their time is over. Even, you know, Leaf up in the cave knows that their time is fading. And I think the Ghost of High Heart is like an ancient, really depressed child of the forest who, yeah, just wants nothing more than it to be 1,000 years ago.
Arya is going to destroy the afterlife.
If the entire Weirwood system has been corrupted by all these bodies seeking immortality, strapping themselves up to it, if it's been magically corrupted to a point where it needs to be burned and rebirthed, essentially, which I kind of think it does, her entire, the entire, heaven that they have and this whole thing might end up getting burned and restarted. And that would certainly explain why she really hates Arya on some level, but also doesn't seem to try to stop her. Seems to know what she's doing is just gonna happen, right?
Yeah, this is the first explanation that I think makes this passage fit.
Yeah,
because
same.
like we in the fandom, and we talk about this in the video briefly, we in the fandom talk about Arya like she is the like a monstrous edgelord, but she has not had a markedly different experience than Lami, right? Than Thomas Evans, right? Her life is not she has not committed notably more evil acts than half of the people she's met. And they don't smell like hell. They don't smell like the gates of Tartarus. But Arya does. This is the first explanation that I think really tracks for that. A number of people in the comments did say, what if she employs one of the cataclysmic disasters that the children have used in the past, like the Hammer of the Waters?
Yeah. So, I mean, depending on your perspective, the killing of the Green Seers could be a cataclysmic disaster if that's your religion. Like,
yes,
that's kind of my take on it.
I agree. And that is weirdly, that's way darker than just like calling down a meteor. That is like, much nastier than calling down a meteor.
This is why I love the shenanigans I talk about with the others in the Weirwoods so much, is just because, like, when you view the others in the Weirwoods the way I do, you look at other parts of the books and it's like, oh, for the first time ever, this makes sense. And this Arya one was one to me that I could never make any sense of it. And now that I kind of think the Green Seers are the source of the others, Arya stabbed the source of the others in the show. She's focusing on the gift of death. And oh, hey, this child of the forest thinks she's like an apocalyptic portent. Like, maybe she's actually just gonna, like, bring about an end to the source of, like, probably the source of whoever's sending the visions to the Ghost of Highheart. Like, whoever is sending her those visions might know Arya's coming for him.
This seems like it has the makings of a real theory. Then I kind of want to make this into an edited theory, because this is not a very common take on the internet, and goddamn, is that cool.
I'll chat. We should chat at some point just through, like, all of the stuff that I'm going through right now on my channel, because, like, I'm just diving into every part of the books with, like, this others Green Seer Shadow Babies take in mind, and it makes so much more sense of so many different things that
hell yeah. Let's bring it a little bit closer to let's bring it a little bit out of the realm of the metaphysical and bring us down to this one. Most people on the internet read this as the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very reasonable take. But if it's the Red Wedding, then we have two Red Weddings, and that is then the only thing that we have two of. And again, if this is the Red Wedding, which a lot of people think, then we have three Red Weddings, and that seems odd. Not that it isn't an important event, but it certainly isn't the most important event here.
So I would say that it has to be the case that the second one is not the Red Wedding as much as the Waking of Stoneheart being a separate event from the Red Wedding, right?
That tracks.
I think that one is notably different enough from the Red Wedding, and Rickon's grief over the Red Wedding, that could just straight up be grief from being separated from his family, which it might not even be over the specific incident.
Most people read this as Grey Wind. This is the most common interpretation of this.
Lone Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But as we discussed in the video, that does not track for me, because number one, this comes right before this, but every time in these passages he says, "I dreamt," it is a new prophecy.
Right.
So this would be the only one that breaks that. And number two, this says a wolf howling in the rain and no one heard his grief.
That doesn't track as...
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
At least Arya and Bran hear Grey Wind's grief.
Yeah, and also like there are tons of just straight up people around who have to then kill Grey Wind, and like, I mean, yeah, to me that doesn't track as Grey Wind during the Red Wedding. That tracks way more as Rickon.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a cool take
just
on that one.
Rickon on Skagos being sad because he's alone. And like, wait. Do we get literally every Stark kid in a row here?
Let's see.
Rickon, Bran,
Sansa.
Do we get Bran? We get Sansa.
I think we get Bran. No, unless I am very happy to call this Bran right down here.
Oh yeah, the old god Stern will not let me sleep. Yeah, I mean it's probably like 50-50 chance that these visions are coming from future Bran anyway. So
yeah.
That may be where Bran is like giving Arya like a rundown of how the family's doing.
But I think we don't have, if this is Rickon, we don't have a Jon, and if this is Jon, we don't have a Rickon.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so it's probably not just all the Stark kids.
But I guess huh, wait, no, okay, because this is Robb. We have Robb, Rickon,
Robb and Cat,
Sansa, Arya. Robb, Rickon, Sansa, Arya. Can we find a Jon? And Bran. Can we find a Jon in here?
I mean, Summerhall is vaguely Jon connected, but not enough probably for this theory.
Can we make this Jon?
It's a stretch and a half.
Can we make? What about this one? Can we make this Jon? This one down here. What if we make this Jon?
That one's probably not Jon.
I have a fun...
Jon is gonna fall off the Bridge of Skulls in the Winds of Winter, and it's not Balon's death. Actually, it's Jon getting murked by some wildlings for no good reason in the next book.
It's actually kind of interesting that isn't on here.
Jon.
Yeah, Jon being killed, because that seems to have that certainly more has bigger ramifications than this. It's not weird to me.
Yeah, although
go ahead.
Joff is on Arya's list. So if Arya's getting the vision of Joff's future, that might be more relevant to Arya on some level, like
Oh, she is saying things that she thinks will be relevant to Arya.
Or maybe the Weirwoods happen to send her things that the people involved would be somewhat interested in, and that's why Arya's getting a rundown of a bunch of her siblings. And and honestly, if that is the case, I'm more inclined to think that the wolf howling with no one to hear its grief is Jon and Ghost.
Okay.
Because Arya cares way more about Jon.
But then what's this and what's this? Why do we give a shit? Why does Arya give a shit about either of these? About Renly or Balon?
Well, other people in the group may also give shits about these events.
Fine.
So like, the Brotherhood without banners will want to know things, but like she's getting what the Weirwoods want to tell all the people that the Weirwoods know will be listening.
Whatever, I guess that makes sense. I have a very interesting take from, I'm going to say Alyssa. Alyssa, who says, I think the sad little bells sound is Patchface grieving Shireen.
I am open to the idea that this has a double meaning, because I do think George would do that. That's a George R. R. Martin-y thing to do. And I think he may have done it already in the Red Wedding, in the House of the Undying one that everyone thinks is the Red Wedding. I think it could be the Red Wedding, and also potentially some future thing with Jon and Dany, where Jon is the wolf's head guy. But like, we talked about that in the House of the Undying thing in more detail. If you want to, after the stream, some of you can go listen to my pitch on that one.
Great.
But
video, by the way.
main point is, I'm open to it being something that will be recognizable as something else in hindsight, but also it definitely is about the Red Wedding, if that makes sense. Like, it fits the Red Wedding so well that I don't look for it to be something else, but I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of reading, you know, A Dream of Spring, we're like, oh damn, Patchface fits that Little Bells line really well as well.
And George likes having that kind of lineup anyway, where more than one thing happens in very similar ways.
Yes.
Mike says arrows rained when Ygritte died.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's...
Yeah. I guess.
I don't know if it's a... is that the wolf howling and no one can hear his grief in the rain? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the show it was raining during that battle, wasn't it? Or not? Am I misremembering that? I remember Jon holding Ygritte as she dies, and I can't remember if that was rain on the screen or if my eyes were watery. I'm not sure.
I don't know if I'm on, like, it's not the case that I don't like it. It just seems much lower stakes than the rest of these.
Yeah. I do think, like, it feels to me that main point of that line is the isolation, which points towards Rickon to me.
Oh, April does point out something that makes a lot of sense. In the arrows are the rain. In that, in that scene.
Yeah, that I could see it, but again, your point of it's just not the most consequential comparative.
Like, I'm gonna
also,
give that...
it doesn't appear like it's raining in the Battle of Castle Black or when Ygritte died.
I'm gonna give that a similar rating that I usually do, which is I like it. I don't think it's true, but I like it.
Yeah. Yes.
And that is more or less it. We did have I can't find them right now, but we did have someone saying that that they interpret a savage giant in a castle made of snow as being Bran or some other, like, ancient old godsy figure, either at the Heart of Winter or Winterfell.
Yeah, I don't see Sansa playing any of them.
Yep,
but maybe
this is my take as well. I like it. I like where your head's at, and I encourage it. But probably not. That is most of what I wanted to talk about here today. That we didn't talk about it, like, explicitly. Zach and I pitched back and forth the idea that this is that the Bells is John Connington related.
I thought that was an interesting tangent that I don't know how I can make it work better than, because it's the Little Bells, like. Those seem more like Jingle Bell than any sort of city bells. Like, those, that's a weird description. If it's like big city bells that give John Con some PTSD.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for your patronage.
Thank you for your patronage.
In Elaine's chapters, he refers to the Eyrie as a castle made of snow, and the
Eerie is a
mountain
castle made of snow, and the mountain called the Giant's Lands. Maybe the castle will collapse. That would be a heck of a payoff for the Eerie. Like, George is like, oh, this castle is magically, like, insane and shouldn't physically be able to exist, and then by the end it collapses because it shouldn't be able to exist.
Oh my god, what a wonderful, horrible thing.
Yeah.
I've been sitting here for years saying I can't wait for them to use the wonderful plot device that is the Eerie. And the twist is that the Eerie collapses halfway through the next book as people are trying to retreat to it.
Yeah.
That fucking rocks. Yeah, that's the literary analysis for the day, I think.
Yeah.
That's most of what I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to do this. And Michael, unless you have an objection, I'm going to draw Pokemon.
Okay.
While we talk about Game of Thrones.
Works for me. Works for me.
Everybody in chat, give me a Pokemon to draw. And Michael, please tell me about, like really unironically tell me about some of the videos that you have been working on that I have been missing, because work has been absolutely hell.
Okay, so yeah, I have been trying to explain what the others are and what is going on with the others in a way that I think actually makes more sense than pretty much any other explanation for them. And the more I go back through the books and find things, the more I kind of get convinced that the others are just icy shadows on some level or another. And like the weird thing about it is, like, the more I look at magic in these books, it all can kind of be related back to shadow magic. So like Melisandre's shadow baby, obviously. Daenerys, when she goes to the House of the Undying, in the magical central chamber, it's a bunch of shadows living there. And it seems very, like, to me, it seems obvious in hindsight that what's happening is there are these magical shadows who are like the power source of the magic. And the warlocks upkeep this house for them where they live, and then because of their proximity to these shadows, the warlocks can sap power out and use it. When Mirri Maz Duur starts dancing in the tent in the very first book, she needs to call forth a bunch of shadows to dance with her. So it seems like all of this stuff is just shadow magic. And then you find out that the dragons also come from the shadow, as do these weird black-blooded demons over in Ashai. So it's just starting to seem like, okay, shadow magic can be used to create life with the shadow babies, for sure, potentially with the dragons. And we see these icy shadows. The first time the others are described, it's called a white shadow. Like, that's literally the description, is he sees a white shadow moving in the woods. When they first step out into the light, George says, a shadow emerged from the dark of the wood, which is just the most George R.R. Martin-y way to foreshadow the fact that these are Weirwood shadow babies. Like, yeah, there's a dude strapped up to a tree who birthed a shadow baby. But now, when the shadow steps out of the forest, I'm gonna say the shadow emerged from the dark of the wood, because I'm George R.R. Martin and I do sneaky double meanings.
Because heaven forbid that we say anything that is unambiguous in this goddamn series.
Yeah. It cut out there for a second, but yeah. I think I got what you're saying. But yeah, dude, it's like, to me, the more I go back through everything, it just all makes so much sense of everything. And it feels like I can't really go back to viewing the others as something else now, because just so much stuff makes sense now that I'm just like, well, how can you explain this if they aren't on some level or another pretty close to what I'm talking about here.
So like, to summarize the pitch, they are whatever Melisandre creates. The White Walkers, the others, are the Child of the Forest versions of that?
Yes, Children of the Forest, or even Greenseer people in the ancient past who are strapped up to trees. And here's the crazy part about it, Tom, is what that shadow allows Stannis to do is, while Stannis is asleep, his shadow is out there doing his will. It's doing what he wants to be doing. While his body is safely protected, he is magically able to send his consciousness out, because he has dreams, and the night it happened, he was viewing through the eyes of the shadow. His dream, he says, when I woke up, my hands were clean. Like, when he's defending himself to Davos. So, like, he wakes up, he having just physically, like, viewed himself stabbing his brother, and he's, like, looking at his hands, and he's just like, I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
Yeah, obviously it wasn't me, Davos. How could it have been me? I was here the whole time.
So basically, it's just consciousness projection into this body that is created by magic, so that while your body is asleep, you can be out there doing what you need to do. So these green seers are literally permanently asleep, with their bodies being kept alive and their life force fed by the weirwoods that they're strapped to. So the reason that Melisandre couldn't make more shadows with Stannis is because his life force was running low. Well, people who are strapped into weirwoods are not going to have that problem. They're going to be permanently asleep forever, so they would need to cast a shadow. If they cast a shadow out there into the world while they're strapped into the world tree, they can be out in the world acting and doing things while their body is, broken or, can't move anymore. It's basically like how the ultimate sci-fi retirement home would be like, you're in a pod out in space where you're at like frozen and your body's just fully perfectly sustained, but your consciousness is like put in a robot that you can just be living in for like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
It's but magic. That's what it is. Like, that's what the others are. They are green seers who refuse to die. They are trying to sustain their own life, and to do so, they've created a system where they have cast a bunch of shadows who enforce the old ways. The old ways force you to sacrifice a bunch of people to the weirwoods. All the blood sacrifice to the weirwoods keeps those bodies alive. So as long as you're doing what you need to do, those bodies are sustained, they're happy, their shadows are out there in the world, and they're getting their eternal life at the cost of the life of a bunch of other people who they don't care about because they're the small folk, whatever. That the people who are being selfish and taking the immortality are the gods, and they view everyone else as, lesser and all of that. And so, I think that's the point that George is kind of making, is these people were selfishly taking this power, and it has cost everyone else because it's trapped Westeros in this old ways of blood sacrifice to the weirwoods for 10,000 years. And the only way to get past that is to kill these people, break free of this system that was set up essentially just for their sake. And yeah, I think that's kind of what the old ways are, the weirwoods are, and the others are.
These are exceptional takes.
I do.
That I hadn't really thought of like this explicitly before. So, but there's logistical questions that I really want to start asking.
Yeah, go for it.
For example, let's talk about Bloodraven. Bloodraven, at least we assume, is the most powerful human green seer that ever there has been up until Bran. Is this a fair statement?
No, I think Bran the Builder would have probably been more powerful.
Reasonable.
But I think Bloodraven is as powerful as your average human green seer.
Really?
Which is to say incredibly magically powerful, but I would imagine every green seer has had roughly the same level of magical ability as Bloodraven has now. He's just the most recent one.
Okay. All right. So he has are you asserting in this theory that Bloodraven makes others?
That's one of the very interesting open questions. Is he is obviously connected to a sorceress woman who is said to have extended her life with blood magic, who was said to aid him with her sorceries when he was Hand of the King. If Shiera Seastar somehow was able to extend her life with weirwood magic, she could have been the woman who's birthing others with Bloodraven. That is reasonable to me. I don't think that's most likely. So if this is one that I haven't even talked about in a video yet. I will at some point, but I'll just talk about it here. Bloodraven, I think there's some chance. I think I talked about this part with you, actually, didn't I? Did we talk about the theory where Bloodraven may have uncovered the Black Gate?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. Because it was not known about, it was forgotten about completely, and someone uncovered it. I think if it was in that state of uncoveredness when the Night's Fort was last inhabited, people would remember it. But I think they sealed it up long before they abandoned the Night Fort, Bloodraven knew about it because of his connection to the Weirwoods, or the Children of the Forest, and he dug it out. Now, here's the really interesting thing, Tom, is Melisandre is an immortal fiery sorceress, right? When George was making an action figure of Melisandre, he ordered one to be painted icy. There's an icy, exact mirror image of Melisandre that George commissioned, made as an action figure a long time ago. I'm
about to believe you.
Yeah.
But I do need to ask the question, that's fucking wild. Are you bullshitting me?
No. I put pictures of it in my video. If I Google icy action figure, I just Googling icy Melisandre action figure, I'll see if it on Google Images pops up. No, what do I need to search to find? I'll find it. I can send you probably the picture in Discord if you wanted.
I accidentally made this Gardevoir a slug. Oops.
But
sorry, I know Gardevoir is important to many people.
No. But anyway.
Yeah.
Melisandre is this fiery immortal sorceress. If there is an icy counterpart to Melisandre, I think it's got to be the Night's Queen, the one who, was doing something with the Night King that really certainly sounds like birthing others. When you view this context, this is the other thing that makes so much sense, Tom, and it's in the stream chat now if you want the picture of the action figure.
I do, but I need to finish this Gardevoir first.
Yeah. So they essentially, what I kind of think now might have happened is, imagine you, Tom, have just defeated the Night's King and his sorceress, immortal, icy woman who is birthing others with her shadow baby magic. And for whatever reason, maybe you can't kill her. She's immortal in the way Melisandre, I kind of think, is. What do they sometimes do with people they need to punish at the wall who have done bad things besides just kill them?
Throw them in the ice cells?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Well, they sometimes also just straight up freeze them into the wall forever. 79 Sentinel style.
Uh-huh.
79 Sentinels, they did that. The Arson Ice Axe, he was trying to dig through the wall and they just froze him in there. And in both of those stories, you'd think, or there's like legends that those people are still frozen there forever. Like, you can supposedly still hear Arson Ice Axe at the Night Fort chipping away inside the wall. I kind of think if this immortal Night's Queen was there with the Night's King and they couldn't kill her, they would tie her to that tree that is the Black Gate and just freeze her in the wall forever. Be like, you can't hurt us anymore. We guard this place. We're never going to let anyone get to you to start bringing back others.
Yo, and you know what else? That's a common threat on the wall.
Yeah, it is.
That like will throw you in the ice and leave you there.
Yep. No, and so like that's a big part of it, is the bodies in the wall, which was part of my original theory on the wall, but it's adjusted now that I view the others this way, and it makes even more sense, I kind of think, is because like you could have the bodies of the people who were working with the Night's King and making others frozen into the wall, strapped up to those trees where they may have been originally, as the Night's Queen was birthing others with them. And that could be how the wall is the source of the others, and there are these bodies strapped to the trees in the wall, and all that good stuff. But so what I'm getting at here is the one thing that I'm probably going to have to put into a video soon is, if part of the reason the others are coming back now could literally be because Bloodraven is, or rather has freed that sorceress Night's Queen. 40 years ago, when Bloodraven uncovered the Black Gate and started plotting the downfall of this entire system, part of that involves bringing back this person who is capable of destroying this system. Now, I talked about this, and this is where it's going to get really great, Tom.
Okay.
That would mean she is essentially the big bad, this Night's Queen. she is exactly like she is so well foreshadowed by Lady Stoneheart, Tom. She was married to this Night's King, who now was destroyed or defeated and possibly killed. She is now a undead, potentially, or immortal rather, fully hell-bent on revenge woman who is birthing these magical icy shadows fully with the intent of destroying humanity, because she is viewing all of humanity in the exact same way that Catelyn Stark currently views all of the Freys. She does not care anymore if you are involved or not. This is why the others have the motivation of wiping out all of humanity the way that we saw in the television show, without them being just like this inherent evil thing that is just like demonically evil for its own sake. It is a George R.R. Martin revenge cycle. And okay, I'll be honest, this is the theory that I was going to present to you earlier today. This is a big part of it. This is what's coming in my next video, is this whole Night's Queen may have been related. Like, how it went down with the Night's King and Night's Queen, it would be the most George R.R. Martin thing for it to just be a giant cycle of revenge and heartbreak. You know? Like, if she is 10,000-year-old magical Stoneheart who spent the last 9,900 of those years frozen in the wall, getting more and more pissed off at humanity, and Bloodraven recently freed her so that she can start, like, helping him destroy this whole magical system. Yeah, that might be what's set up.
I'm with you. Hang on. I'm with you up until Mel. Up until the assertion that it is Mel.
I don't think Night's Queen is Mel. No. The Night's Queen's not Mel turned icy.
You think Mel is thematically connected?
Mel is the fire version, yeah. Mel is the fiery version, foreshadowing that you can be, because Mel's eyes are described like red stars. And the Night's Queen, her only description are eyes like blue stars. So she is the icy Melisandre. Melisandre is probably tied to a glass candle and immortal. I think the Night's Queen's probably immortal due to weirwood magic. And so therefore you can't really kill her unless you kill this magical thing that is tying her to life, which would mean killing the entire weirwood system. That's the other big problem with the others and these green seers, is if they're magically sustained in this way, you might not be able to destroy them and the others without destroying the weirwood system that sustains their life, which would be why you need to destroy the weirwood system with Dany's Dragonfire, Arya killing green seers, and then Bran can come in and help them plant a new world tree that's not corrupted by all this blood magic-y shenanigans, and take the knowledge from the old system, download what is needed, and be the source of that new knowledge, because they just fucking destroyed the old godhead, basically. Yeah, my videos have been getting really fun lately. This winter, I think is... I think I am close to being able to just be like, I've always been building towards, like, I know how I think the books are going to end, but I realized if I told people how I think they're going to end a year ago, they would all tell me I'm insane. So I've just had to go step by step, like a frog in boiling water, like having these conversations with people point by point until I can get to the end and be like, well, this is why Jon stabs Dany in the books. That's gonna happen.
You are describing the philosophy behind our main gameplay loop, which is if I just said these things to you, I sound insane.
Yeah. If I just say Dany is gonna help be the new world tree, and that's why she always wants to plant trees, and that's why her whole thing is I want to plant trees and watch them grow. I don't want to rule and destroy things. I just want to plant trees and watch them grow. Yeah, that's the ending is about planting a new world tree. That's yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah.
See, all right, Michael. That is the subject of another stream.
Yeah.
Because I want to fucking go over all of it. I actually want to go over all of it.
I do. I wanted to present that one to you guys like a year ago, but I'm like, much like we had like a one episode that we did that was like 2.5 hours long, because I'm like, I'm gonna have to walk them through so many layers of shenanigans before they understand what the hell I'm talking about. That's always the problem I've run into with this big Danny, like why Jon stabs Danny in the books theory, is just because I'm like, this is so many levels of like work that I have done only in my own head. I need to like get some of this out for other people to get on board with and like poke holes in if they can. And so far, no holes have been poked. Like I'm still pretty much cruising exactly where I thought I was going.
All right.
It's just, lots of detours.
All right, I have some pitches.
Yeah.
Would you, number one, like to do this as a video? I'm sorry, as a stream, where you give us required reading before we start the stream. You say,
I would.
These are the videos you have to, because I will watch them.
Yeah.
If you say I have to watch them in preparation.
Yeah, I would say like, give me a couple more videos, but then like if you watch my others, like stuff, basically everything I've put out since my explaining the others video, which is basically just my last like couple videos. You can skip the one about video games. That's unrelated.
Okay.
But I have like 3 or 4, and then I've got 2 more that I have finished. One that's edited and coming out. I'll probably put it out tomorrow. I'll maybe save it for Friday, but I think I'll probably put it out tomorrow. That's going to talk about Bran the Builder, the Night's King, the Night's Queen, the Last Hero, that sort of shenanigans. I mean, since yeah. To answer what you were saying first, yes, I am definitely down to tell you which videos you would need to do, and then we can have the like foreknowledge going into it. I'm definitely down for that.
Yeah. I also think the idea of doing a stream where we don't do any required reading, and you try to like conspiracy board us through in like a giant theory, in like get us all the way.
If I just say the thing at the dumb way at the very beginning,
yeah,
I'm like, yeah.
We put that. Yeah. We hang on. Where's my? We do one of these, where we put the main right in the middle, and then we like build sections all around it, like like we're actually, and like these ones feed into this one and feeds into this one, and this one feeds into this one. But then of course we have to build these 3 sections in order to make the next part of this one make sense, and these feed into this one.
This is, yes, you're roughly describing my attempt to make sense of all the topics that I'm trying to cover in my most recent videos. Like that's genuinely the difficult part of the last several videos I've been making, is the fact that every time I try to talk about this, it turns into a 3-hour rambling ass tangent that like I can't use, and I have to redo it. I'm like, no, okay, we can't talk about Jon. Tom, I kind of want to drop a bomb on you right now.
This is always the problem.
Yeah. I want to drop a bomb on you right now. How long do we have to stream?
I think I'm going to be closing up in the next about 10 or 15 minutes. And in that 10 or 15 minutes, you do need to tell me if the Pokemon I've drawn are good.
I can't see the Pokemon anymore on the stream.
That's okay. We'll do Tangent first and then Pokemon.
Okay, what was the other? Or do you want me to drop the bomb that I was going to say?
Only if you think that the bomb can be resolved in the next 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, well, it'll just give you it's the big bomb drop at the end of my Others Explained video.
Okay.
The others are shadow babies.
Yeah.
Birthed by someone born with weirwood magic powering their life force.
Okay.
Melisandre is able to birth shadow babies.
Uh-huh.
So she also, by the way, since she has arrived at the wall, in her own chapter, she starts thinking about, I need to make a shadow baby here. The shadows that I birth at the wall, for some reason, would be so much more powerful. I'm more powerful here than I was in Ashai.
Oh,
the shadows forth here would be terrible, and no creature of the dark could stand before them.
Oh, no.
Then,
Michael, they melt in the mist.
You know what she does? You know what she does right after that,
what?
Tom? well, first of all, she tells them to start restoring the Night Fort for her and Stannis to go to in the next book. And then she goes and starts trying to seduce Jon Snow. Successfully seduces Ghost and starts telling Jon Snow, hey, you need to take the power available to you and use it. Have a shadow baby with me, Jon. And guess what? In the next book, so the recipe for the others is a shadow baby born to someone powered by weirwood magic, potentially at the Night Fort. That's where we've seen it done before. In the next book, Jon Snow is almost certainly going to be animated by weirwood magic at the Night Fort with Melisandre, who is determined to make a shadow baby with him, and who has been pitching him the entire book. The entire thing she's telling him is, you are not using the power available to you, and it's going to get you killed. And guess what it did? It got him killed. So more Wolfish Jon is going to be able to come back animated by weirwood magic, and he's going to say, you know what? I'm going to take that power. I am going to birth a shadow baby with Melisandre at the Night Fort, and then it's going to come out looking a lot like another. I think that is how Jon ends up as the new Night King, fully trying to do what he thinks is right the entire time, ending up at the Night Fort, birthing shadows with a Shadowbinder, well powered by weirwood magic. So
evidence A, he gave his seed and his soul as well.
Yes.
Evidence B,
the
the others turn into mist.
Yes.
Not unlike the shadow smoke that the shadow babies are.
So what I think happens literally, Tom, with the others is they just, in the shape of a human body, drop the temperature to absolute zero and freeze all the moisture in the air. And that's why it's a body made of ice, that the second Sam stabs through that spell with a fire magic weapon, the spell breaks and all the air warms up. The body turns into mist, because that's what happens when cold air meets hot, and it's like throwing boiling water into the air on a freezing day, but kind of the opposite, right?
Damn.
Yeah, all the heating up of the moisture that was magically cooled just stops, and it becomes regular temperature, which turns it all into mist, and the thing puddles away and turns into mist. And the fiery shadow baby then is turning the entire shape of the person into shadow, because it's cast with the fiery moon, which drinks in the light rather than reflects the light. There are two moons. We don't talk about one of them because it's black and it drinks in the light. Yeah, so Tom, when the dragons were born...
Yeah, I remember that one.
You got to watch the videos.
I remember.
When the dragons were born, the moon moves too close to the sun and drinks in its light.
Yep.
And now... there's just, for some reason, the same place where the dragons were born is just seemingly magically under an eclipse type scenario where it's shadowy.
What?
And a bunch of yeah. It's all in the video.
Okay, all right.
All
right, you guys have homework.
Point being, the shadow babies that are black, I think, are cast from that dark, fiery moon and drink in the light in the area that they are. Whereas the others are color matched to the light reflected off of the other moon, because they're cast with the icy moon.
Michael, you gotta know that I am probably the person on the planet who is most receptive to this. And this does sound insane.
Oh yeah, I know.
Okay, all right, perfect.
I know. Yeah. It's one of those where it sounds insane until you look at the books in that context. You're like, oh, why does he keep bringing this up in a way that makes this sound so plausible? George keeps bringing up stuff that makes this sound incredibly plausible, and I don't know why he keeps doing it if it's not there.
April says the black moon is text. It's not theory. Yo, throw a citation in the chat. I'll read it out. Let's do it. Let's do this shit right now.
That's definitely the part that people have the biggest problem with. And it's not a requirement. It's just a thing that I'm like, it makes a lot of sense of why the dark shadow baby looks the way it does. It makes a lot of sense of what's going on with a shy. It makes a lot of sense of a lot of things.
Now, I do want to, you said the words a lot of sense. And I think that the words a lot is doing a lot of work there. The word sense is doing a lot of work there too.
Possibly.
All right. I would like to talk about Pokemon extremely briefly. And then,
Okay.
and I would like to say there's 52 people in here, which we had 60 a little while ago, which might be a record on the channel.
Ben. Nice.
Which is extremely cool, and I do request that everyone go and like the stream right now, because I can't express how much better that'll make the stream do. Go, do it right now. I'm not showing you guys any Pokemon. Like, I have Pokemon on the screen right now. I'm not showing it to you guys until you go and like the stream. You guys don't get to look at the Pokemon.
We did actual analysis in this stream instead of just plotting a crypto scam. So this stream doing well.
No, it's not a crypto scam. It's an investment opportunity.
Exactly. That's right. All
right, get over there. Like the stream, everybody. Did you all do it? Did everybody go like the stream? I'm gonna know. There's a certain number. There's only so many people in here. All right. Michael, give me your final thoughts while rating these Pokemon.
Those are some very good Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems like a very solid playthrough of Pokemon Emerald going on right there.
This I feel like Cradilly's hard, and this is a good Cradilly.
Yeah, I like that. That is a good one.
And as always, we have a Gardevoir that is not cursed, as they never are.
Yeah, no one has ever drawn anything weird about Gardevoir ever, or any other Pokemon for that matter, which is nice.
Halo Cat has given my Cradilly a 6 out of 10 and my Gardevoir a 7 out of 10.
I'm wondering sorry, you're cutting out again for me, but I was gonna say I wonder what a 10 out of 10 Cradilly would look like in that point.
Honestly, what's a 10 out of 10 Cradilly? These are good Pokemon. I drew these in like 3 minutes. I think these are good.
Yeah.
All right, how about this Bulbasaur? Wait, that's not Bulbasaur. Is this a Bulbasaur? How about this Bulbasaur? It's not as good.
That's a 6 out of 10 Bulbasaur.
That's 6 out of 10 Bulbasaur. This Bulbasaur is not good.
I'm being nice to the Bulbasaur.
Yeah. I'm glad that this Bulbasaur is here.
Tom, you know what that is? That's a 10 out of 10 Ditto pretending to be a Bulbasaur.
Yes, yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, Spartan got there at the exact same point in the chat. Spartan Cypher said 10 out of 10 Ditto.
Halo Cat said art is subjective. Bulbasaur 9 out of 10. Michael, I believe that concludes our show.
I agree. Yeah, I'm showed out.
Thank you very much for hanging out. Thank you for subbing in at the last minute.
No problem.
It is, as always, a blast, and we will be talking more about all of this insane bullshit.
Indeed. Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about once you watch my theories that I've been working on recently. And
what was the theory we pitched that we're gonna give to Zach? We pitched a theory today. What was it?
Oh yeah,
shoot.
It was early on too.
Chat. Oh, Halo Cat is leaving. Thank you very much for being here.
What are you supposed to keep secret from Zach? Don't make us rewatch the whole stream.
Yeah, chat. What are we not supposed to say to Zach? Chat wasn't paying attention either.
No, it's
Michael,
fine.
chat
We'll
wasn't paying
figure
attention either. I love your horse. Subscribe. It's over. That wasn't it, but I appreciate you. All right, Michael. I guess I'm gonna have to rewatch it. Nay says that he's a good friend and that you love him. Everyone send Zach your love because he's having a stressful day. But for right now, I do believe that I am going to take us over. Oh, we're gonna go over here. And Michael, do you have any final thoughts before we start to sign out here?
No, I think I pretty much have said the main things I wanted to say about the Ghost of High Heart. So yeah, I'm sure we can cover any other nonsense later.
I would like to thank everyone who super chatted. I really appreciate you. It unironically helps us keep this going. I'm gonna play you guys out with some of Zach's music. Michael, say goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah, there we go. Alright, everybody. Everybody like the stream. Do it right now. Like the stream right now. And then vibe out to Zach's music. Please light up the stream with like just music emojis and how much you love Zach's music so that I can screen cap all of these and send them to Zach and it'll make his day better. Thank you all for joining. Good night, everybody.